to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to our March, am I okay here? Yeah. To our March meeting. Just for those of you who are new, haven't been here before. To my left is the council people, Sylvia Santiago, Stephen Bedetti. To my immediate right is our town clerk, Kelly Allegra. To my right is Andrew Riggenbaum and Stephen Moreau, council people. The table is Highway Superintendent Anthony Feo, Police Chief Robert Doss, and Town Attorney David Zager. And I am unfortunately George Myers. So the first item on the agenda is comments on agenda items only. If anybody wants to speak to any of the agenda items, there'll be 2 public forums. This is just about agenda items. Anybody have any comments? Okay. So we'll close.
At the end of the meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
In the public forum.
Who's that over there?
It's somebody that lives in the.
You live here?
I don't know.
A few years?
I've
Okay.
been here forever.
Forever?
Longer
Okay.
than you.
Yeah, you're right. Longer than me. All right, so we'll close that portion. So let's begin. First item on the agenda is approve the minutes of Town Board. Town of Windsor approve the minutes of the public hearing regarding the proposed amendment to Chapter 300 of the Town Code of the Town of Windsor to allow mini warehouses by special use permit in the neighborhood commercial zone district, as well as minutes of the regular Town Board meeting, each held on February 5th, 2020, as per the copies of each of those minutes posted on the Town Clerk's bulletin board in Town Hall, same having been distributed to each of Town Board members. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Riggenbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Moreau?
Yes.
Councilman Bedetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes. Chair will make the motion, Town Board, Town of Windsor, authorize the Town Clerk to advertise pursuant to law calling for sealed bids for the purchase of 1 6-cubic yard dump body and plow with wing. Bids to be received in public open on March 26, 2020 at 10 a.m. at the office of the Town Clerk, 555 Union Avenue, Windsor, New York. Town Board, Town of Windsor reserves the right to reject any and all bids. Motion?
Move. Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Riggenbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Moreau?
Yes.
Councilman Bedetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
And Supervisor Myers?
Yes, this is a new truck for the Highway Department. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board, Town of Windsor hereby introduce a proposed local law entitled Local Law to Amend Chapter 287 of the Town Code of Town of Windsor entitled Water. Authorize the Town Supervisor to sign short environmental assessment form, Part 1, declaring itself to be a lead agency under SEQA for the review of this action, determine that this is an unlisted action and call for a public hearing on a proposed local law in accordance with the resolution attached. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Riggenbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Moreau?
Yes.
Councilman Bedetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board, Town of Windsor hereby declare the improvements to the Town of Windsor Caesar Lane wastewater treatment plant disinfection system to be a Type 2 action requiring no further action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act in accordance with the resolution attached here to a motion.
Move. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Riggenbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Moreau?
Yes.
Councilman Bedetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes. Receive and file. Hearing no objection, Town Board, Town of Windsor, receive and file the attached map plan and report of McGoley Hauser Etzel Consulting Engineers of DPC dated 25 February 2020 for the Caesars Lane wastewater treatment plant disinfectant system improvement project, chlorination and dechlorination. I'll speak to these in a half a minute. All right, motion. Town Board, Town of Windsor, authorize the Town Clerk to advertise pursuant to law calling for sealed bids for the Caesars Lane water treatment plant disinfection system improvements project, chlorination, dechlorination, which shall be received in public open on the 23rd day of April 2020 at 11 a.m. at the office of the Windsor Town Clerk, 555 Union Avenue, Windsor, New York. The Town Board reserves the right, Town of Windsor reserves the right to reject any and all bids. Motion?
Move. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Riggenbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Moreau?
Yes.
Councilman Bedetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes, those 3 receive and file motions have to do with our sewer treatment plant, which is pretty sad shape, and probably the main reason that we have this moratorium in place So we are in the process of upgrading that plant and expanding from 5 million gallons to 8 million gallons per day that we can process through there. Hearing no objection, Town Board Town of Windsor received and filed sealed bids received in public opening on February 27 for the pre-demolition asbestos abatement at the micro screen building at the Caesars Lane wastewater treatment plant. This also has to do with the wastewater treatment plant, it has to do with asbestos matter that we have to get that cleaned up too. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board Town of Windsor, award the bid for demolition asbestos abatement at the micro screen building at the Caesars Lane wastewater treatment plant to Jupiter Environmental Services, Inc. in the amount of $28,000 as the lowest responsible bidder in accordance with the General Municipal Law, Section 103, as recommended by Quality Environmental Solutions and Technology, Inc. in the attached correspondence. Roll call.
Move. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Riggenbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Dedetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
And Supervisor Myers?
Yes, that's also that micro screen building having to do with the asbestos down there. All right. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board Town of Windsor hereby authorize John T. Finnegan, Controller, and Doreen Casey, Deputy Controller, to access treasurer management signatures for the Town of New Windsor accounts at the M&T Bank in accordance with Resolution Annex Tier 2, and further authorize both John T. Finnegan and Doreen Casey to execute said resolution on behalf of the Town of New Windsor. Roll call.
Move.
I'm sorry, motion.
Second.
There we go.
Councilman Riggenbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Dedetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board Town of Windsor authorize the town supervisor and the town controller individually or cooperatively as required by M&T to close the Town of New Windsor Town Clerk account ending in the number 25345 at M&T Bank to have the account balance transferred to the Town of New Windsor concentration account ending in 85419, also located at the M&T Bank. Motion?
Move. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Riggenbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Dedetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board Town of New Windsor authorize Supervisor George A. Myers, John T. Finnegan, Controller, Doreen Casey, Deputy Controller, to access authorized signatures for the Town of New Windsor accounts in the Orange Bank and Trust Company in accordance with the Resolution Annex Tier 2, and further authorize each of them to execute said resolution on behalf of the Town of New Windsor. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Riggenbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Dedetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes, those resolutions have to do with just adding Doreen Casey as a signature. She's the Assistant Controller. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board Town of Windsor, whereas on January 15, 2020, the Town Board of Town of Windsor authorized Town Supervisor George Myers to sign all checks, Controller John T. Finnegan to countersign same, and for both to use a facsimile signature necessary. And whereas pursuant to request of one or more depositories of Town of Windsor, it is now necessary to add Deputy Controller Doreen Casey as a signature to the Town of New Windsor. Now therefore be resolved, the Town Board Town of Windsor hereby authorize George Myers, John Finnegan, and Doreen Casey to countersign same, and for all to use a facsimile signature when necessary, and be it further resolved that the resolution shall supersede all previous related motions and resolutions, including that of January 15, 2020. Motion?
Move. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Riggenbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Dedetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board Town of Windsor, whereas the County of Orange has funds to be distributed to local law enforcement agencies for the purpose of conducting enforcement activities related to the Stop DWI program, and for the term February 20th, 2020 through January 11th, 2021, and whereas the Town of New Windsor does wish to participate in said program, now it therefore be resolved that the Town Board Town of New Windsor approve the receipt of said funds on behalf of the Town of New Windsor Police Department from the County of Orange, and authorize the Chief of Police or his designee to execute all necessary contracts and documents with regard to available funds. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Riggenbaum?
Yes.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Dedetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
And Supervisor Myers?
Yes, this is a $3,825 grant from the county that will go to our police department to help us with the Stop DWI program. It's funny, the other day the chief mentioned to me, what, eight DWI arrests in town? Still people driving around now.
Just last month.
Just last month alone. It's almost inconceivable that people are still out there driving drunk. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board, Town of Windsor, appoint Kelly Allegra as the Registrar of the Windsor Woodlawn Cemetery and set the salary at $4,000 as budgeted for the year 2020. Motion?
Move. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Rigglebom?
Yes.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Bezetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
And Supervisor Myers?
Yes, as most of you know, the town now runs Woodlawn Cemetery. Yes. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board, Town of Windsor shall hereby authorize the town supervisor to execute attached contract between the Town of Windsor and No Night Group for the update of town's hazard and mitigation plan not to exceed $19,500. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Rigglebom?
Yes.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Bezetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
And Supervisor Myers?
Yes, this has to be passed every 5 years, and if it's not passed, we would not be eligible for any FEMA grants. So we'll be eligible for FEMA grants. Hopefully we don't need them. Chair will entertain a motion. No, I think this is just a receive and file. Is it? Let me see. 16. Yes, appointment. Chair will entertain a motion to supervise pursuant to the New York State Town Law, Section 29, 16, 52, and 63. I hereby establish a committee for the purpose of updating of the town's hazardous mitigation plan. The following shall serve on this committee: Stephen A. Bedetti, Councilman, Chief of Police of the Town of New Windsor, or his designee, Superintendent of New Windsor Highway Department, Chief of the New Windsor Volunteer Ambulance Corps, Chief of the New Windsor Fire Department, Chief of the Valesgate Fire Department, authorized representative of the Town of New Windsor Fire Inspector's Office, and the Town Engineer. Motion?
Move. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Rigglebom?
Yes.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Bezetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes, so these will be the people who will be on that committee. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board, Town of New Windsor hereby amend the 2020 schedule of fees as follows and direct the town clerk to revise the standard schedule of fees accordingly. Town clerk fees. Genealogy copy. The standard fee for a genealogy copy is $22. This includes a copy of a certificate, a 3-year search of the index, and the retrieval and refiling of the microfilm and microsheets, and either a copy of the record or no record report. When more than 3-year search is requested, the fee is higher in accordance with the chart below. So it goes from 1.3 years for $22, and if they're looking for an 81 to 90 years, it would be $202. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Rigglebom?
Yes.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Bezetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
And Supervisor Myers?
Yes. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board, Town of New Windsor hereby authorize the town supervisor to engage the firm of Drake Loeb in line with the fee schedule and cost proposal annexed hereto to serve as a special counsel in connection with the town board's review of the zoning and planning goals during the temporary moratorium, to act as a special defense counsel for any challenge to or litigation related to the temporary moratorium. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Rigglebom?
Abstain.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Bezetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes, this also has to do with our moratorium, and we need to show due diligence because there were several people threatening to sue the town. So some of these motions that you hear tonight just are kind of our way of protecting the town, but we need to do some rezoning, we need to do a comprehensive master plan. So there's lots of issues that have been left on the side of the road that are now back on the road. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board, Town of New Windsor authorize a reduction of performance bond for the public improvements of Wakefield Major Subdivision Phase 2. Planning Board 15-1 from $631,245.18 to $295,122.30 as recommended by McGoey Hauser Etzel Consulting Engineers by the correspondence dated 26 February 2020 and annexed hereto. Motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Rigglebom?
Yes.
Councilman Monroe?
Yes.
Councilman Bezetti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago?
Yes.
Supervisor Myers?
Yes, this is just reducing a bond because they've completed the work. Chair will entertain a motion, Town Board, Town of New Windsor authorizes the supervisor to execute New York State Department of Transportation application and permit to operate equipment for law enforcement purposes in substantially the same form as annexed hereto and in accordance with the resolution attached for the installation of security cameras, license plate readers, and related equipment, pole attachments upon utility poles located in the New York State right-of-way. Motion?
Move. Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Riggenbaum,
Yes.
Councilman Rowe,
Yes.
Councilman Cadetti,
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago,
Yes.
and Supervisor Myers.
Yes, these cameras have been very helpful to us in our law enforcement pursuits. And they also read license plates, and we had several cases, right, Chief, where we have tracked down some folks that we would not have tracked down without them. So these are definitely a very good law enforcement tool, and we struggle every day to make New Windsor a safe place, and this certainly helps the police do that. So receive and file. Hearing no objection, Town Board, Town of New Windsor shall receive and file the attached letter, agreement dated February 2, 2020, between the Town of New Windsor and the Town of Newburgh for the sharing at no cost the Town of New Windsor's valve exercising equipment, together with an operator for the same. Said agreement is effective December 21st, 2020. We have borrowed some equipment from the Town of Newburgh, so we're just putting on a record in case we damage it, that yes, we have borrowed it. So hopefully that we will not damage it. Hearing no objection, Town Board, Town of Windsor shall receive and file the attached notice of claim in the matter of Anika Warner versus the Town of New Windsor. Hearing no objection, the Town Board, Town of New Windsor receive and file the attached summons and complaint in the matter of Anika Warren versus the Town of New Windsor. This is a woman who is suing the town because of some injuries she suffered when one of our police officers was working off duty. So when they're off duty, we are still responsible for them because we trained them. So we'll see where this goes. Hearing no objection, Town Board, Town of New Windsor shall receive and file with the Town Clerk the attached emergency action plan for the Beaver Dam Lake Dam. New York State DEC Dam ID number 1950502, Federal Dam ID New York 00619, dated January 31st, 2020. This is a privately owned dam by the Beaver Dam Association, and they have an emergency action plan that we need to keep on file in case something happens. We'll know what our role is. It's another receive and file. Hearing no objection, Town Board, Town of New Windsor shall receive and file the attached asbestos project closeout documents from the Taylor Montgomery LLC regarding demolition pursuant to the Town Code, Section 113, of an unsafe building located at 708 Mount Airy Road, New Windsor, New York, identified on the Town of New Windsor tax maps as Section 66, Block 1, Lot 4. I'll speak to that in a minute. Receive and file project closeout, documents, quality, environmental solutions, and technology. Hearing no objection, Town Board, Town of New Windsor shall receive and file the attached project closeout documents from Quality Environmental Solutions Technology regarding required air monitoring during demolition of an unsafe building located at 708 Mount Airy Road, identified on the New Windsor tax map as Section 66, Block 1, Block 4. This was a home that the town had to demolish, and the homeowner is going to pay for it, but there was some asbestos there and it had to be done right. So that's what those past two items were about. Hearing no objection, Town Board, Town of New Windsor shall receive and file with the Town Clerk the attached monthly reports for the following departments for February 2020. They're all for the month of February 2020. Justice Calderon, Justice Myers, Police Department, Building Department, Recreation Department, Tax Receivers Utility Report, Tax Receivers Monthly Tax Statement, Town Clerk Report, and a New Windsor Volunteer Ambulance Court. Okay, so at this point, we're done with the agenda items, and before I open it up to the public, I'll just ask any of the board members have any comments over here? No? Okay, so at this,
I do have a
oh,
comment.
hold on.
I just want to recognize two of New Windsor Boy Scout Troop 28 Boy Scouts that are here with our committee chair. They're here working on their merit badge for citizenship in the community, so I just thought it was right.
Who are they?
They're Stefan, Joey, and Dawn Panesi, the chair for the committee for the Troop 28.
Okay, Troop 28, good to have you.
Good evening, thank you.
Trouble breaks out, you ready to go? We might need the troop. Okay. No, don't worry, Chief will take care of it. Things go really bad, Anthony Fay will step up. Okay, at this point, I'll open it up to the public. Anybody but, okay. Anybody have anything to say? Gene, step up. Step up to the microphone. Come on, you can do it. That's
What do you want me to do?
nothing, go ahead.
No, I had the new meter installed, and I have a question. The cost of the meter installation is the town's cost going to be reflected on our property tax that we get once a year? Is that, in other words, the town had to pay for.
Yeah, we pay for it.
Okay, so mostly the taxpayer ends up reimbursing you. And I was just wondering if that cost is going to be passed on on a property tax bill, or if the town is paying for it. That's all I want to know.
Okay. Anything else?
No,
Okay, I'll get to that in a second. Anybody else? Any other public comments? Okay, let me address that. The water meters, it is a user tax. It's not on a general tax. It's on our water tax. And like we have a water tax, sewer tax, ambulance tax, highway tax. So yes, it will be paid for out of the water tax, and that's a user expense. If you don't have water, lots of people in town do not get municipal water. They're on their own wells, so they don't pay this. So anybody who is on the municipal system, that money for these new devices will be taken out of that account, not the general fund, just the water.
because the meters were very old, most of them.
Yeah, some of them were 50,
And
40, 50 years old.
we pay so much for water as a town based on our population. That's what I understand.
Right.
However, when we go over that allotted amount each month, we have to pay a higher amount to the city of New York.
Right.
So are you hoping that you'll be able to rectify the usage, see where maybe it is a business, for example, is using a hell of a lot more than they were paying before because the meter was old?
Yeah, this is hard to believe, but we estimate that we are losing about 40% of the water that we bring in and process through Riley Road. And someplace along the line where it gets distributed, we're losing about 40%. We think a lot of it might be in these meters, and that's what we're trying to find out. These meters are very accurate. The old ones were not so accurate, and once they get so old, like anything else, you and I would not know about this. But when people get old, they slow down, right?
Really?
Yeah, did you hear that? So these meters are kind of like that too. Okay, so yeah, I think that, this is a work in progress, and obviously there's always kinks along the road, but hopefully it'll work out. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Just state your name and where you live.
Edie Johnson from Blue Grove, from the Orange County Post.
Okay.
We received notice a couple hours ago about students from at-risk countries of coronavirus are going to be brought into Stewart
Right.
and screened, whatever that means.
Mhm.
Seems like a big concern because the process is very sketchy at this point. I might be better asking for an opinion tomorrow, since they're taking another look at it this evening to see if they should make some changes, because there are no details at all about how other people are going to be protected, why the students can't be tested before they get on the planes. If they come here and get tested, are they just screening for coughs and fever, or do they have actual kits? There's a whole length of questions that are still out to boot. So I maybe should not ask for an opinion.
No, I can speak to this when you're done.
Yeah.
I can speak to it.
Great.
We good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, listen, we got wind of this afternoon, myself and the police chief. We had a series of meetings, and of all the places in New York, they gotta come here. But anyway, that's what they're talking about. So we have made some inquiries. There was some talk about them maybe going to a facility in Cornwall. Then there was some talk about maybe they're going to a facility on the airport itself. And then there was some talk that maybe the governor doesn't really have the authority to do what he thinks he's doing, that maybe the federal government will do it and not the New York State. So it's very much in flux. The best we could determine that maybe Friday, one plane will come in with these folks, these kids from 4 or 5 different countries, like Italy, Iran, China. So it's kind of like, it seems to me like it's in flux, there's lots of decisions being made, but we in government have been on top of this since the minute we read it, because we're concerned about our emergency service people coming in contact with them. I spoke to the chief of the ambulance corps. I I spoke to the police chief. So yeah, we're on it and we're gonna stay on it and we're gonna keep track. And all I can say is that our number one priority, and I'm the guy that does most of the speaking, but these two people over here, and these two people over there, and that gang over there, and this woman, our main thrust is the safety of the people in Windsor. And whatever it might be. So we're gonna stay on top of it, and if need be, we'll make a lot of noise and we'll see where they go. But I don't think they know yet. But it was a great question because we spent some time today, the chief and I, talking about this. Okay, anybody else? Chair will entertain a motion to close the public forum meeting. Motion?
Move. Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Rainbow,
Yes.
Councilman Rowe,
Yes.
Councilman Detti,
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago,
Yes.
and Supervisor Myers.
Yes. Chair will entertain a motion that we adjourn the meeting. Roll call.
Move. Second.
I'll say roll call again.
Councilman Rainbow,
Yes.
Councilman Monroe,
Yes.
Councilman Detti,
Yes.
Councilwoman Santiago,
Yes.
Supervisor Myers.
Supervisor Myers has a long day, stuttering a little bit up here, but I'll say yes too. We're glad to go home. Thank you.